State for Finance, esteemed dignitaries on the dais, and ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning to you all, and it is indeed a privilege to be here. As we know, India is at the cusp of great changes that will have ramifications for generations to come. The face of our economy is changing and will change even more down the road. Standards of living will materially improve too. In this context, ensuring tomorrow's elderly have sustenance would indeed be a matter of judicious, proactive governance and prudential fiscal management. It is also the unstated fiduciary mandate of the social construct. True, India enjoys a demographic dividend today, but the advantage would diminish over the next 3 decades as the young get older. The fiscal cost of providing basic pension to those without such a cover would at that point be staggering if this window of opportunity that we have now is not grabbed with both hands. As things stand, the cushion traditionally afforded to the elderly in India through financial and family support has been reducing because of increasing urbanization and nuclearization of families. We believe the government will have to forge strong partnerships and will have a larger role to play, especially in a cluster of states that we mark as cluster 2 in my presentation. This will also entail going for some innovative approaches to cover the milling throng in the unorganized sector. We all know India is a young country in terms of demography, but it is graying much faster than the rate developed countries have grayed at, and that too at a low level of per capita income. By 2050, the share of the elderly in total population will touch 18%, the level seen in Western countries today. 2 factors contributing to this are higher life expectancy and declining fertility rate as shown in the chart. The combined effect of these factors will lead to an increase in old age dependency ratio. By 2026, we will have only 5 people of working age for each elderly compared with 7 today. Hence, pension planning for population needs to start now before the window starts to close. The demography across various states has varying fertility rates, life expectancy, and per capita income. This implies there needs to be a differential approach in which pension industry should focus on. Based on our analysis, we feel the different demographic profiles can be covered largely in 2 clusters. In cluster 1, the significant population is expected to age in the coming years and have a higher per capita income. This segment would require products that can provide high return on investments to maintain similar standard of living post-retirement. Strategy here should focus on promoting market-linked pension products for the working age population. In cluster 2, aging of elderly population is still not alarming. However, lower per capita income poses a challenge of affordability and adequacy of retirement savings. So stronger government partnerships would be required. Evaluating India's pension landscape on the 5-pillar framework laid out by the World Bank, one sees a continuum of sorts. Pillar 0 is a non-contributory social pension framework typically financed by the government, which provides a minimal level of old age income for people with no lifetime income. Pillar 1 is a pay-as-you-go defined benefit pension framework, which is primarily tax expense funded, respectively, and seeks to replace some portion of pre-retirement income. These plans are subject to demographic risk and pose high stress on the fiscal system. So there are questions about their sustainability. Given that the government employees have transitioned from defined benefit to defined contribution, the fiscal cost for the government will reduce over time. The Pillar 2 is also mandatory, but in the form of direct contribution pension system from the subscriber. This pillar, however, faces challenges of depth due to low share of organized sector and skewness towards debt investment despite India's young demographic. Pillar 3 is voluntary in nature. It has challenges in terms of affordability and persistency, particularly for low-income segment, which may result in inadequate payoff at the retirement. Pillar 4 is family or other informal financial and non-formal financial support. This has been the traditional pension support in India, but it has been failing in recent times with the onset of urbanization and nuclearization of families. Designing better age-old security is the need of the hour, and it has to be tailor-made for the segments. For below poverty line elderly with no lifetime income, the government will have to find resources to implement targeted pension scheme. For the organized sector, where subscribers require higher payouts, the returns can be enhanced through efficient asset allocation. Currently, asset allocation of large retirement funds is skewed towards debt. When we look at some of the countries like US, Chile, they have equity allocation as high as 40%. Given the sizable younger population, high equity allocation can be considered for enhancing returns. Contrary to perception, equity gives a higher return compared to other asset classes in the long term, as borne out by historical performance. Indeed, 90% of time, equities have delivered more than 10% for a 15-year investment horizon. As the labor force survey on employment, 17% of employed persons are part of organized sector. Around half of them do not get covered by EPFO and NPS. Organizations having less than 20% employed are not covered under the aegis of EPFO. The government can look at auto-enrollment who are part of employee-employer relationship but are not covered due to various reasons. The unorganized sector engages the bulk of India's workforce. So if India has to improve pension penetration, this population has to be brought under pension ambit. This again, the population faces challenges in terms of low and higher income volatility, leading to low pension affordability and persistency. Hence, flexible payment and withdrawal options can be offered with appropriate caveats, monetary incentivization by the government for low-income strata old population through co-contribution, bundling of insurance products with pension schemes. To conclude, development of the under-penetrated pension market becomes an urgent imperative. The focus needs to be on both expanding coverage and improving adequacy of returns. Further, financial literacy and appropriate incentivization of financial intermediaries can aid in improving penetration. Thank you.